Hey everyone, and welcome. Have you ever wondered what makes some groups just click, while others seem to fall apart? Well, today we're diving into the fascinating world of group dynamics. We're going to break down that journey that turns a random collection of people into a powerhouse team. So let's get right into it. First things first, I want you to think about your own life. The people you work with, play on a sports team with, maybe a volunteer project. Are you guys just a group? Or are you really, truly a team? It seems like a small question, but trust me, that distinction is everything. So what's the actual difference? I mean, we use these words all the time, right? But they're not the same thing. A group is pretty simple, just two or more people interacting. But a team, that's a whole different animal. A team is a mature group where everyone is super interdependent, they're all pushing for the same goal, and this is the big one, they hold each other accountable. So here's the key takeaway. Every single team is a group, but not every group manages to make that leap to become a team.
Okay, so how does that evolution from group to team even happen? Well, it turns out it's not random. There's actually a predictable path, a series of stages that pretty much every group goes through, whether they know it or not.
This whole journey was mapped out by a psychologist named Bruce Tuckman, and he broke it down into 5 stages. It kicks off with forming, that early phase where everyone's polite and kind of testing the waters. Then comes the fun one, storming. That's the conflict stage. If you get through that, you hit norming, where things start to click into place. That leads to performing, which is where the real magic happens and you're firing on all cylinders. And finally, when the project's over, you get to adjourning. Now let's talk a little more about that storming phase. It sounds pretty negative, doesn't it? Power struggles, factions, conflict. But here's the thing. This stage isn't just normal, it's absolutely necessary. This is how people test boundaries, figure out their roles, and start to build real trust. You have to go through the storm to get to the high-performance stage. It's a critical step. So, if pretty much every group goes through this process, what separates the ones that become amazing teams from the ones that just get stuck? Well, it all comes down to a few key ingredients. Let's take a look at what those are. First up, and this might surprise you, size. All the research points to a sweet spot for an effective team, and it's somewhere between 4 and 12 members. So why that specific number? Well, it's all about finding the right balance. See, the more people you have, the more resources, skills, and ideas you get. That's the good part. But as the group gets bigger, just coordinating everything becomes a nightmare. Communication gets tangled and things get messy. That 4 to 12 range gives you enough brain power without things becoming totally unmanageable. All right, next up, group norms. Think of these as the unwritten, or sometimes very written, rules of the road. They're the standards that guide how everyone is supposed to behave. And norms are incredibly powerful. They really express what the group cares about, and they keep everyone's actions in check, which creates a stable, predictable environment. Then we've got something called group cohesiveness. The best way to think about this is like social glue. It's the cement that holds the team together. It's that feeling of attraction that members have for the group and for each other. And it's no surprise that the higher the cohesiveness, the higher the satisfaction, the morale, and the better the team performs. Okay, that's all great in theory, but how do you actually use this information? Well, this next part is all about action. This is your practical toolkit for building a stronger, more effective team. Let's break down 5 game-changing strategies. First, setting SMART goals. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. This gives your team a crystal clear destination. Next, promote trust. You have to create an environment where people feel safe to speak up, to take risks, without worrying about being blamed. It's the bedrock of good communication. Third, you need effective leadership to provide that vision and help the team navigate roadblocks. Fourth, relevant training. You got to make sure your team has the skills they actually need to do the job. And finally, you have to manage conflict constructively. Turn those potential arguments into breakthroughs for growth. Of course, the road to becoming a high-performing team isn't always smooth. It's full of potential traps and pitfalls, and knowing what they are is the absolute first step to avoiding them. Oh man, one of the biggest ones is something called social loafing. We've all seen this, right? It's that one person who just doesn't pull their own weight, who figures, someone else will pick up the slack. This is so damaging, not just for productivity, but it completely tanks the team's morale and trust. And there are definitely other common pitfalls that can totally derail a team's progress. Things like role ambiguity, where people just aren't sure what they're supposed to be doing, or ineffective leadership that can't guide the team. A fundamental lack of trust, which, just erodes the entire foundation. And, of course, when you have one or two people who just dominate every conversation and steamroll everyone else's ideas. Any one of these can bring a great team to a grinding halt.
So, as we wrap things up here, let's bring it all back to you. After everything we've gone over, from the stages of development to the keys to success and the traps to avoid, I want you to really think about your own group or team. What is the one single practical step you can take starting today to help move your group just a little bit closer to becoming a truly great team?